Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 2013 Pacific Hurricane Season Update video. In this update, since the last update, we have had we have had Tropical Storm Cosme. It formed about 36 hours ago, about 500 miles off the coast of Norvet, which is on the Pacific coast of Mexico, and is about halfway between Mazatlan and Acapulco. But just to give you a general sense, look it up on Wikipedia if you really do not know. But anyway, we have Tropical Storm Cosme, and Cosmo can be easily described in one word: big. And big. It's about several hundred miles. I don't remember the exact mileage off the top of my head, but it is big, especially for an Eastern Pacific storm. It has the similar similar appearance in the Western Pacific, and this is likely attributed to the Madeline Julian strong MJO pulse that has been in the basin the past several days. And many different things could happen with pertaining to Cosme. Not many, but there are two options for intensification. As of the official National Hurricane... Alright, but before I make any assumptions, as of the 2 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time Advisory, the National Hurricane Center reported that Tropical Storm Cosme has winds of 50 knots or 60 miles per hour. Since then, an ATCF update from the storm showed that Cosme has strengthened slightly to winds of 55 knots or 65 miles an hour. Continued intensification is likely. The waters are warm and the wind shear is fairly low, not super low, but fairly low, and is likely favorable enough for further intensification. Normally, in a normal Eastern Pacific situation, it would lead to rapid intensification. While that's a possibility, it doesn't look too likely. But we will discuss this within the next minute or two. Right now, the NHC has predicted Cosme to peak at 75 knots or 85 miles an hour. They're the same thing. And if that holds true, it only has 24 to 36 hours to intensify. If that holds true, that leads to about a gain of about 5 knots, about a knot an hour, give or take. So, there's several factors involved, but Cosme is likely to intensify, as we've mentioned, but how fast? It is a large system, which can mean some good and some bad. The upsides with large systems, and this can be a big one down the road in about 4 or 5 days for interest in the Baja California state and possibly in California, is that large systems are slow to intensify. And that is a proven fact. They're slow to intensify, but they are also slow to weaken, which is what I intended to say earlier. And that can be big when it comes to this storm, because it's going to weaken slower, which means which adds more H to the season respectively. So that's the advantage. Well, to slower to larger storms. But the disadvantage is 2 is more damage to the coast, and 3 is 1, it's more damage to the coast, and 2, it leads to slower intensifying storms, and Cosmo is a good example of that. If the storm was a bit smaller, I think we'd probably be seeing a Category 1 or 2 hurricane at this stage of its time. But it's holding up its strength. But sometimes, once the storm gets going, Cosmo can intensify fast. In the process, it usually gets larger. And we will see this. We have plenty of time. So most of the models are showing a minimal hurricane, but it could get much stronger. Why? Because if the storm can get going, anything could happen. For all we know, this is unlikely, but for all we know, this could bomb out and see a Category 4. But I'm not for a hurricane. But I'm not expecting that. But it is something to worth watching. That's going to be very interesting to follow. What happens within the next 24 or 36 hours. And track. I think track is very simple. It's going to threaten Socorro. The outer rain bands might bring some rain to Socorro Island, which is about 400 miles off the Mexican coast and has 250 people. But it is otherwise inhabited. Sort of like the South Pacific, but even less inhabited. Anyway, I think that should, but in the long run, and then in a few days, it's likely, as it weakens, and went slowly, it will likely encounter cooler waters and turn west as predicted by the NHC. And that should do it